Hello everyone. Just wanting to offer some clarification for week 2 of our tarot deck challenge or oracle deck challenge, our solitary challenge with this just using one deck for a month. Many of you have messaged me for week 2 feeling a little perhaps stressed about the stone aspect. And I would really encourage you not to get into a stressed out space with this. It's supposed to be the fun part of our challenge. And it's really not about doing it right. This is just about having fun. So even if you only have certain stones on the altar for your deck and you just experiment with a stone that you found outside, does it like to be on the altar with the deck? It's as simple as that. Maybe you like to carry certain stones with you. This is saying mixing it up a little bit. So explore using a different stone in the bag with your deck as you carry it around. It's really about that kind of thing. So don't get stressed about that. I just wanted to clarify that for you all. The challenge, you can't do it wrong. It's your challenge. And so I encourage you to edit it and to divert from the, rough outline that I'm providing for the challenge. This is really about you and your journey, and you're documenting your journey through this. So this is something that needs to feel authentic for you and allow it to do that. I've spoken with quite a few of you who are kind of creating it, taking a slightly different path with this and are having amazing experiences, and it's wonderful to hear that. So never feel like you have to stick with something because you started doing it. I'll give yourself that freedom. It's a big blessing to just follow your path with it. The other thing about spread, some people are feeling a little nervous about, and I've actually had some people say, what is a spread? So if you're someone who just does daily draws, this can be a little confusing. And so I'm just going to clarify right now what a spread is. And this is something that, as readers, I think I've talked about before, but I actually probably haven't done a video on this. So if you're finding this video because you're wondering what a card spread is, then we're going to talk a little bit about that now. So we call a spread spread because we're putting out certain cards in a certain way, a certain order, and we're using them to interpret a card reading. So for most of us, the places that the cards occupy have assigned meanings and will let us know what's affecting certain areas in your life. And I'm just looking in here to see if there is a spread so we can see it. So here is the card spread from the Sacred Rebels Oracle. And you can see that it is entitled The Egg. And here is a diagram of the spread itself with the assigned numbers for the cards. So we can see it starts with 1 here, goes this way, and ends in card 6. Each of the card positions has a question or an area that it's focusing on, that's helping you to understand why these cards have shown up for you in relation to this reading. And so that's really what a card spread is. It's encouraging you, it's aiding you in gaining the clarification that's needed, that's led you to draw a set of cards to figure out what's going on in your life at this time, or how to bring in what you want to bring in, or how to let go of what you want to let go of. So the spread itself is very beneficial in aiding us in that process. For a lot of us who read freeform, we will draw a certain number of cards or go intuitively with a certain number of cards, and there are no set positions for those cards. Some people would still say that that's a spread because we are setting the cards out in some type of a fashion, even though there are no set meanings for that. So either way, in some way or another, you're using a spread to interpret a reading. Especially when you start reading with cards and you step out of just a daily draw, which honestly is a spread in and of itself as well. But when you step out of a daily draw, spreads are very helpful for getting comfortable with understanding what the meanings are for each of the cards that you've drawn and how to interpret the spread as a whole when you read for yourself or someone else. So stepping from 1 card to 3 to 5 to 7 to 10, etc. can feel very scary, and a spread is very helpful. It's kind of like a little safety blanket in a lot of ways, a very beautiful safety blanket to help us to understand what each of the cards' meanings are, and then as a whole how to interpret the spread itself. So I hope that gives you a little bit more clarity about what a spread is and why in week 2 we are creating our own spread. So we're not using the spread that's been given to us in the guidebook. We're actually creating our own spread. So this is, again, very personal, very creative. I'm encouraging you to use your imagination and your intuition and to really just allow this to take you where it leads with the spread itself. But it is something to create with intention, the spread. So it might come to you very fluidly, but allow there to be an intention behind the creation of the spread as well for you. And this type of work is really, really powerful, especially, when we are reading for ourselves. Stepping into creating spreads is something that really helps you to grow very quickly in how you're going to interpret readings for yourself so that you're coming from a clear space and not a muddled space at the time of the reading itself. So hopefully that gives you some more clarity on what a spread is. And if it doesn't, feel free to let me know. The other thing that people have really been kind of messaging me about, or coming into the store where I work and talking to me about in my area, is what is a tarot deck, what's an oracle deck, and if I don't have either of those, what can I use, or can I not use one, or can I use one, and feeling a little confused about this. And there is you don't have to use tarot or oracle for this, as far as like only tarot, no oracle, or only oracle, no tarot. This is a deck that you love and feel drawn to, or perhaps have just purchased and are excited to work with. So it can be tarot or oracle as far as that goes. It doesn't have to be only one type of deck for this. So what is a tarot deck? Let's talk about that right now. Why don't we? All right. So a tarot deck follows a set system. For most of us, and for most decks that out there that are popular, that is the Rider-Waite-Smith system, which means that there are 78 cards. And no matter what style or artistic style of tarot deck that you get, it has to follow that, for the most part, has to follow that 78 card system. So you're going to purchase a deck that says tarot deck in the title somewhere, and that is going to have 22 major arcana. It's going to have the court cards for each of the minor arcana, and then it's going to have the minor arcana. So 10 cards for each of the minor arcana suits or elements, which would be pentacles, swords, wands, cups. Okay, and they can have different names depending on the tarot deck, but it's going to follow that type of formula. And so you're always going to see names like the Empress or the Emperor, the High Priestess, something following that line, or explained clearly in the guidebook why they've changed that title. That's letting you know that you're following that set system. So there is a symbolism, a system that encompasses tarot, and the deck has to follow that or explain why it's diverting from that for the purpose of the deck itself. Again, 78 cards. Some people will throw in a happy squirrel card, but a true tarot deck is going to have just the 78 cards. So you can see that the major arcana are most often marked with Roman numerals. Here's a card with a suit. This is the Four of Pentacles, and so you can see we have the Pentacles icon up here, and then the number of the suit itself, not in Roman numerals here, as you can see. So there are so many tarot decks to choose from, and in so many different artistic styles. And so you can definitely get very creative with this and find a deck that really follows your, what speaks to you. And here is the Night Sun Tarot, which just came out, and I'll show you some images from here. So you can find a deck that's really tailored to your imagination and your creativity that still follows the tarot system. And this is a type of deck that you can definitely use for this challenge. Okay, so this would be a tarot deck, 78 cards, and it follows a set system or explains why it diverts from that for certain cards, okay? And that is tarot. Oftentimes they will come with a little white book like this, which is a mini guidebook letting you know some basic meanings for each card, or they will come with a more detailed guidebook that really gets into the meat of each card but is explaining what each card is and why it shows up when it shows up and what the meanings are of the cards themselves. You can find decks that really get into symbolism and esoteric works, decks that are focused on the Kabbalah, astrology, all of those kind of yummy things. So you can find tarot decks that bring all of these things in. Elemental tarot decks are available, things like that, but it's going to follow that 78 card system while it works with the symbolism and the imagery. And again, most tarot decks are based off the Rider-Waite-Smith system, and so the card images will be similar to those that Pamela Coleman Smith drew for that deck. Oracle decks are a different beast altogether. There is no set system, so anyone can create an oracle deck, and it's completely their own. So some people have 44 card decks, some people might have 90 card decks, some people can have 20, 15 card decks, 30 card decks. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to work with, the symbolism that you want to bring in, and whatever intention or divinatory meanings you want to include in the oracle deck itself. Many oracle decks now really have a focus on healing and spirituality, and so you'll find that they are going, encouraging you to go to a more spiritual level when you are reading the cards themselves. Oracle deck doesn't have any kind of restrictions or outline for the creation of it. It can go in any direction it wants to, and you can find an oracle deck with pretty much any focus that you want to find, and it's going to have the divinatory aspect that a tarot deck has. Not always as focused on the divinatory aspect though. A lot of oracle decks have a more spiritual, intentional, affirmational focus, and so you'll find that that's a part of each of the card meanings, and that it's really encouraged to be part of a spiritual practice of daily draws or something like that. So this is the Sacred Rebels Oracle. Oracle cards tend to be a little bit bigger than tarot cards because the artwork, we're really relying on it to let us know what the meanings are, and it's a much more, again, personal interpretation because you are following someone else's deck or working with someone else's deck, but you're also going to really find your own way of interpreting this deck. I find that oracle decks require usually a little more attention and working on the relationship to really read effectively for yourself and for others with them. In some ways they can be a little more temperamental than a tarot deck, which tends to be a bit more straightforward and will often really painfully give you the truth at times. In a very powerful way. But oracle cards can be a little more vague and really do require you to be able to call yourself on your own stuff to get more than just a hearts and sparkly interpretation from them. At times, with certain decks. Oracle decks are really beautiful, and if you find that due to the dogma that's passed around in some spiritual communities about tarot, and how it's, you know, satanic or dark or something like that, if you find that really discourages you from using tarot and that you're really scared to step into it, oracle decks are a great place to start and to really find yourself feeling comfortable with divination, but also with using your intuition in a more empowered way, in a way that brings more awareness to the use of your intuition. So oracle decks can be a great place to start. I always encourage everyone to explore both tarot and oracle and see what works for them, or if both ways work for them. I'm someone who loves to use both tarot and oracle, and in all of my readings, whether for myself or someone else, I most often use tarot and oracle decks together in a spread to tell the story. Oracle cards can also make great clarifiers for tarot cards as well. But they are very separate systems. So tarot has a set system that you follow, and it's 78 cards, and there is a structure to be honored when you're working with a tarot deck. Oracle decks are really the creation of the creator or creatrix of the deck. And so they will follow their own journey and take you on a journey that isn't as structured or set up as tarot itself. Hopefully that's given you some clarity on that. For the challenge, Solitary Tarot, Solitary Oracle, you can try out Tarot, you can try out Oracle. It doesn't have to be either one to do this challenge. Some of you have also been concerned because you have perhaps the Spirit of the Wheel meditation deck or another, like a chakra deck or something like that, and you're wondering, can I use that? Or it's not tarot or oracle, can I use that? It's actually an oracle deck. Spirit of the Wheel meditation deck is an oracle deck, but its primary purpose is not divination. Its primary purpose is meditation with these energies. And so this is a great deck for this challenge. If you are wanting to use Spirit of the Wheel meditation deck, I am going to encourage you to use that deck. It's an incredible deck, and you will get a lot out of using it for this challenge. So as long as it has card images, and in some way it feels beautiful to you to be a daily practice for yourself, then go ahead and use that deck. There's no, you can only do this or one right way in this challenge at all. So go with what feels the best for you. That's always going to be my encouragement. Hopefully this has given you some clarity on what a spread is and what tarot and oracle decks are. Again, I encourage you to explore both tarot and oracle and set spreads, creating your own spreads, and also free-form spread reading as well. I hope this is finding you all well and enjoying the challenge, and I will see you in the next video. Many blessings, guys.